put it like that.
Nice.
What's it like? I was actually there in attendance in Cleveland for Coe's first career NFL touchdown, which was awesome. And,
Awesome.
It was a great game. You could hear me on camera. I was just screaming, "Say it ain't so, Coe! Say it ain't so!" Sadly, from there, the game kind of went off the rails a little. That was the last high moment of that game, but it was a great game. Overtime loss, fun time.
Yeah.
How was that moment for you? Seeing the first, whether it was on TV, in person, wherever you were, seeing his first NFL touchdown. How was that?
Well, dude, I mean, we were at home because it was a away game. We don't travel to a lot of the away games because we can get into that later. But, to watch that and to think I wished I was there live. So to have your video was so cool. And just said, "Man, this is so cool." I mean, that was so cool for us. Catching it from Tom Brady, right? Like, he's got the ball yet. I mean, first NFL touchdown means a lot, right? I mean, as a dad, that's just so cool to see. And it was fun to watch. And, it didn't have the outcome we wanted, but still the same. What a memory! What a memory to have, right? So,
and honestly,
cool.
those. One of the best guests ever, the Buccateers in the house tonight. You guys hear him on Tampa radio all the time. He's one of the best in the business. My favorite personal in the business. That's why I'm elated tonight. Growing up in the Chicago area, you're used to sports radio. That's what gets me through the day. So this man does help get me through the day, I will say, with the Pat and Aaron show at work. Nothing like it. So it's incredible. It looks like we got Stunna bumbling in. I'm Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little cleared. But we're joined by Pat Donovan.
It looks like Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like you got a little...
No, my camera's broke.
And he was trying to pull me in big time. And then I was like, dang, nothing's happened with Indianapolis yet. Like, I really want to give Indy a chance. And then also I talked to Cody Gruden, once he took over Rich McCann, and still like, but look, I was like, y'all just give me the opportunity to explore free agency, see what's going on, and then kind of make it do it.
All right, everyone, you are tuned into the Buccateers at wide receiver, Kalen Geiger, and we are about to have a great pod. This is the Buccateers. You're tapped in, and here we go. Howdy ho, howdy hey, how the hell is everybody? Welcome back into the Buccateers. For the first time in a month, we got a Victory Tuesday on a Tune Me Up Tuesday. Stack them how you can. I know it's uninspiring to some. We'll get into the victory and so much more here on the Buccateers pod. Bucs possibly getting healthy. We're going to talk about that and a lot more fun here on the Buccateers. It's a lot more fun when you win. It's a lot more fun when you're playing meaningful December football. So very good stuff there. As Cleveland Me says, good evening, my bros. Good evening to you. Cleveland Me, Joey Nips tuning in. The great B-Shuck loves our intro as always. Says evening, longest intro ever. Yes, don't worry. You only got about 2 more months until the new season of the Buccateers comes, which means the new intro is upon us. So locked and loaded, B-Shuck. Before you know it, a new intro will be here. It's a win, and I'll take it. J-Lo, what say you? Welcome in. Victory Tuesday. Cheers, my friend. And you got your new man at Florida officially as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just glad to get back in the win column. Like Bisha just said, we'll take any way we can get it, whether it's close, long, whatever. A win's a win. Yeah, defense didn't play up to great, but they won when it counts. Stopped them on 4 and out. So I'm proud of them for the most part for finishing the game and winning it. And shout out to Coach Summerall, our new head football coach of the Florida Gators.
To me, as Cleveland Me says, you should be able to challenge delay a game penalty is my new rule, and we'll get your guys' opinion here as well once we welcome Zach in. But I think every cut and dry penalty should be challengeable. Offsides, it's pretty cut and clear if you're offsides or not. Delay of game should definitely be one of those penalties you could challenge. I don't get it. You could challenge 12 man on the field. That one's cut and dry, but you can't challenge delay of game. You can't challenge offsides. Their rules need to be fixed in quick order. We've been seeing a lot of terrible calls here, Zach, and as we know, it's hurt the Bucs in the past, but this past Sunday, they were able to beat the referees a little bit and get past some self-inflicted wounds, both offensively and defensively. Welcome back, brother.
Yeah, appreciate it. Good to be back. Always good to be back after a win. We'll get into more of that about the game. But speaking on the penalty aspect, man, this whole season's been a shit show. I'd almost say, all the penalties should be reviewable by New York, but it seems like New York messes up just as much as the officials on the field, or they don't have the view that they have in the stadium, as we've fallen victim to a couple times ourselves, as Bucs fans. But even last night, man, when that kid for the Giants was returning that kick and got just obliterated, and they don't throw the flag, and then they have the rules official come in and say, oh, well, he's a runner, so he loses his protection. Well, does he?
It's one of those things that we're seeing at every game now, too. It first started where, okay, this team's getting screwed this. Okay, this team's getting screwed this week. Now it's like, all right, well, the Giants got a couple calls against them. The Colts, I don't know if you fellas seen, but there was a pass interference in that game that pretty much awarded the Texans a game. Tony Dungy tweeted that it was the most egregious pass interference call that he's ever seen, and that was followed right by a delay of game where the clock was on 00. And I don't want to hear the excuse thing where, oh, we allow the clock a half a second. Then make it a half a second less. Make it 39 and a half seconds, or make it a half second more, 40 and a half seconds, because if it hits 00, it's a delay of game. That's the whole point of having a clock. When the clock hits 0 in basketball and it's still in the guy's hands, you don't see the ref saying, all right, we'll give you another half second to get rid of the ball and get it up in the basket. When the pitch clock hits 0 in baseball, you don't see the ump say, all right, pitcher, no, it's cut and dry in those sports. It should be with football too. They have some very easy things. And I think a way to help, at least, even if they get the calls wrong, a way to help the clarity will be doing what ACC did with ESPN, where the officials talk through on a live mic, hey, this is what we see. This is why we're going to call it like this. And again, even if the call is wrong, at least, Zach and J-Lo, it gives clarity. You can make a little sense maybe. This is why the refs called it like this. Instead, we're just getting from the NFL, that's a call. It is what it is, J-Lo. We're going to screw the Bucs, we screwed ourselves too. Igbuka dropped a big one. Godwin dropped a big one. Some defensive players had some lapses. Special teams continues to be hit or miss. But at day's end, J-Lo, referee took 1 or 2 touchdowns away from the Bucs, and it almost cost us as the ladies come in. Olive in the house, Jen in the house. Good evening to both of you. We love our lady listeners, but J-Lo just could have been catastrophic for a Bucs team that was in a must-win atmosphere.
Oh, yeah. A bunch of BS calls. We all saw it. The Tez Johnson one drove me bananas. I don't understand that pass interference call.
And how about the worst hold?
Oh, yeah, and the worst hold. The guy was going down, clearly. All it was just back up and let him get on the ground. That snatch has been called
incorrectly all year. Sorry, J-Lo. But that, not just with us, but that snatch has been called wrong all year. Every time the tackle does that, they call a hold, and it's not a hold.
No. Not at all. Clearly, it's not. I don't get that. They got to fix that crap in the offseason, because that's just some BS. That really cost us, and I don't blame Tristan and Tez Johnson both going off, on the refs, because they were both, pretty much popping off. I don't blame them at all. It was a BS call. It's just upsetting because it was pretty much us against the Cardinals and the refs. It was a handicap match, 2 against 1. That's how that game was. But luckily, we prevailed and we won the game.
And the way the Bucs have been playing, we don't need any handicap matches against us. We just need one-on-one opponents outright. And by the way, I'm not saying it was our game or anyone in specific, but I will say hip drop tackles. They made such a big deal about hip drop tackles, and then suddenly they don't call any of them. Like, I've seen a couple around the league this weekend. Guys are picking people up, dropping them on their hips, and they're not calling them, which again, Zach, I just don't understand. Here's an NFL that makes such a big deal about hip drops and why they're going to be banned, and they're so worried about safety. But now that they kind of brought them to the forefront, it seems like referees are kind of saying, we'll let the boys play and shovel these under the rug.
Yeah, they made it such a big emphasis to make this rule to prevent player injury, and have they even called it 5 times in the last, 2 seasons? I mean, we can think of several right off the top of our heads that took out major players around the league, and the plays didn't even get a penalty on them. Now they'll send a fine afterwards and say, "Oh, it was hip drop tackle," or here's your fine for it, but didn't get a flag in the game. And just to circle back to delay a game for just a second, they always say that the ref has to look at the ball and then look at the clock and then look back at the ball to determine if it's been snapped. Well, why don't they have something that vibrates on the ref when the play clock runs dead so he can keep his eye on the ball the whole time? And if he gets the vibration and the ball's not snapped, he throws the flag. Like, it's not this complicated. They're making it out to be like, oh, well, we got to take the good with the bad, but just lately there's been more bad. And I don't know how much more frustrating it can be to see these things from our living room, and then the camera angle changes and the ref standing right there. Like, how do you not see it right there? It's frustrating, and it really doesn't help the league's argument that the games aren't fixed when you see calls of this magnitude, especially when they take touchdowns off the board, man.
And to your point, it should be as cut and dry as like a buzzer. A ref gets buzzed in. Oh, it's 0-0. No looking around needed. I mean, refs aren't going to lose their job over things like that. It's innovation. You still have umpires in baseball, and what are they doing? Helping improve their game, and it trims down time. Nobody, fan or player-wise, wants to sit around for 5 to 8 minutes while they look at something to review that should have been called right the first place. I believe it was the Broncos-Redskins game where there was a play in the point of the game where the Broncos and Redskins had a review, and one of the teams were driving, and it gave the defense a break just because they had a review, an easy call. And that sort of thing shouldn't happen. The refs should get it right the first time. I believe it was for I forget what it was for exactly, but it's just an every game thing. But I guess we'll have to learn to live with it, because until it gets better, I'm not going to expect it to get better. It's just, I don't know, this offseason they need to implement some rules, and the whole hip drop thing. It reminds me of when the NBA came out and said, we're going to call fouls, penalties against flops. If you flop, It's going to be a penalty. And then you saw maybe 1 or 2 flops got called. And it's like, well, what's the point of acting like you're going to crack down on this thing and then you don't even implement the rule? And I don't know. The refs are just confusing me, and it seems like the crews get worse over the years. It seems like the veteran refs don't care like they once did. I remember growing up, and you had some refs, not that it was a great thing, but they were the spotlight of the game because they cared that much. Even making the call, they were so enthusiastic. They actually at least care. Nowadays, you see these refs trot up there, holding on. They don't even know the number half the time. They called holding on 57 against the Bucs the other day.
Yeah.
There is no 57. It's clearly Luka Decky, but Zach, stuff like that is like, how do you get a number wrong? If you're throwing a penalty on somebody, I don't know what's a bigger pet peeve. You throw a flag on someone and you don't know their number. It's like, you saw that guy do something wrong. You clearly know their number. Or when you throw a flag and pick it up, because it's like, okay, then why did you throw the flag in the first place?
Yeah, it's all frustrating, man. And mark my words, there's going to be something happen in the playoffs or in the Super Bowl that swings a game, and it'll have all the nation's eyes on it. And then that's when, the NFL will hopefully say that we've got to do something that's different, because right now when the regular season's going on, most people watch their team and then maybe the Sunday night and the Monday night games. But when the playoffs and the Super Bowl especially, all eyes are on the product. And if this is the level that we've gotten all season, we can't expect anything different in the Super Bowl. And from either not calling pass interference or incorrectly calling pass interference, or it's a catch versus it's not a catch, like the touchdown last night in the Giants and the Patriots, the one right before half, it was close. They didn't even really look at it. They showed a replay a couple times, but man, it was really close, and they don't even give us the benefit of the replay. And that was similar to there was a touchdown over the Thanksgiving Day games that was very similar. I think in the Packers-Lions game, that was super, super close. And it's like we're not spending the time on the ones that we need to, and the ones that don't really warrant it, we're spending the time on. And then hip drop is supposed to be player safety, just like leading with your helmet is player safety. And those shouldn't be situational when they throw them. It should either be we throw it every time or we don't throw it at all, and because it's not a rule anymore.
Let's give a little bit of applause there. I couldn't agree more. And as you said earlier, Zach, I don't think it's rigged, but when you do things like that, it makes it seem like it's a little bit more directed, and then it just seems like no one's ever on the same page. It's like the game against the Jets. The refs say one thing, Baker Mayfield says the refs said another thing. The Lions guys, our friends over at Talking Grit, great guys over there. Go check them out at Talking Grit podcast. But they were on our show, and they said the game where the Lions played the Chiefs and the Lions lost on that bullcrap penalty, the refs said one thing, Dan Campbell said another thing. So they're not only getting calls wrong, they're talking out of both sides of their mouth as well, which is never a good look, too. It's always a bad thing when you talk two ways, right, J-Lo?
Always. Like I said, is what it is. These refs are going to keep, messing around and not just screw us, but screw a competitive team competing for a playoff spot, competing for a division, championship. They got to fix it. I mean, that's all I can really say. In the meantime, we're just going to have to deal with this crap the rest of the way, and hopefully we'll pull out the wins.
Like Zach alluded to, could cost someone, and it did, even though I hate the Saints. It cost him the 1 year against the Rams where there was a blatant pass interference call. Nobody called it. Nobody reviewed it or anything. And next thing you know, that was the end of that. But we'll get over the rest, and we'll get on to some good news as Christopher Cole's in the house. Injuries. Seems like week by week, this team is kind of getting a little bit back, their health back. Baker missed no time. Bucky looked pretty dang good for being out a handful of weeks, and he's only going to get better. Godwin, although dropping an important one, he looked like he got his legs back. That was his best look of the year last week, in my opinion. Although dropping the crucial touchdown, he looked pretty damn good. Now you're hearing Mcmillan could be back soon. You're hearing Mike Evans is practicing. Rick Stroud mistweeted last night. He said they'll be practicing next week. I got excited and tweeted it. He quote tweeted me and said this week. So it is this week that Evans and Mcmillan could be practicing. You keep hearing whispers about Kancey potentially returning. J-Lo, this is a team that could base their health. Their destiny could be based on their health. Just like the Super Bowl year, they were very healthy. If they get very healthy, B-Shuck says, I forget which overtime game they let the guy pick to kick and which way, doesn't get the second option. Yeah, that was the Broncos-Commanders game, I believe, where the Commanders said, we're going to kick the ball and we'll go that way. And the ref kind of said, okay. And it was like, even the announcer was like, you don't get to do both. And the ref was like, yeah. But J-Lo thoughts and all that. And the great B-Shuck giving us a super chat.
No, I appreciate B-Shuck. Appreciate always, showing love to the pod, man. We always appreciate that. But getting these guys back, it's obvious that we miss Mike Evans in this offense because it changes the whole perspective of how we get the ball rolling. It just helps out Ibuka. It helps out Godwin. It helps out Bucky. It helps out the whole offense when you got a guy like Mike Evans in who's a game changer. And then Mcmillan, with the brace being off, able to got clear for practice. That's huge. I mean, to me, we're just getting healthier, and it's going to make our offense a lot more dangerous to where Grizzard will be able to be more creative on his plays to where obviously they're going to have to double on Mike here and there, but then Ibuka, Godwin opens up space for them. And plus, not all of them have to be on the field at the same time. I mean, it'd be interesting, but you'll be able to swap out guys to keep them fresh and healthy for the playoff run. So that's huge. I mean, and for the most part, I'll be glad to see Mike Evans. Just seeing 13 on the field just makes a huge difference in the game.
Zach, to piggyback off that, Bredesen returned last week. Reddick returned last week. Dean returned last week. A lot of the cavalry is returning, Zach. And again, The Bucs had their 3-game skid. Some of the time looked really bad. Some of it looked really ugly, but they were missing a lot of key cogs along that route.
Yeah, even though they dropped 3 in a row, with the exception of the Rams game, the Patriots and the Bills were both winnable games. I mean, we were winning them at one point. We didn't get played off the field. The Rams game was an embarrassment, but the other two, not so much. Emeka and Godwin and Mike and Mcmillan is way more, scary for a defensive front than our defensive team than Emeka and Godwin and Miller and Shepard. So it's going to just open up the offense a little bit more. Hopefully we get to see this thing being a little bit closer to what it was at the first 5 games of the year, as opposed to this middle section. Once we get those guys back, I don't know what McMillan's actually going to be able to give us, but I'm more comfortable with Shepard being wide receiver 5 than wide receiver 3. So it's coming at the right time. Hopefully, Mike's legs will be fresh, and maybe get 200 yards a game and still get this 1,000. Right.
And the beautiful thing, if they're all healthy on top of maybe all of that, is that you could rotate them. You don't have to put them all on the field at once too, right? Kind of like, by the way, I think they've done great with Dean this year. Yes, he's missed a game, but if he's on the field more, he probably misses more than that. So I don't mind rotating him in and out as much. And although I think last week showed that he is by far the best corner on this team right now, so keep him on the field as much as you can, but pretty much a little bit of load management might help a lot, like it has Dean this year, only missing a game. That's pretty good if he only misses one. I think you could do the same with the wide receivers. Hey, Igbuka, Shep, and, Tez Johnson on this play. Evans, Godwin, Mcmillan on this play. You could really mix and match some fun formations out there. And then, hey, we really need to score. All 5 of you go out there at once. Boom. Really see what the defense is made of. So it's going to be interesting. Yes, we do miss Mike. He's the guy that takes the defense off over the top as well. Really creates a lot of mismatches there, J-Lo. But I will say this Bucs team is heading in the right direction. And although we are missing some key cogs, Kancey, Evans, Mcmillan, J-Lo, they're all very important week to week. I don't think we get any back this week against the Saints, but potentially maybe Thursday Night Football, upcoming creamsicle game against Atlanta. How cool would that be for Mike Evans to return?
Oh, I mean, that would be awesome. I think that would be smart not to play any of them this Sunday. I think it's a very winnable game with what we got healthy right now. I think the Thursday night game is probably the sweet spot for at least either Mike or McMillan, one of them to come back. But I expect both of them back for sure for the Carolina game. That's probably where I'm aiming for, to have all of them back for the most part in the receiving core. But my being back Thursday night or even McMillan will juice up the offense that Thursday. Meantime, let's focus on the Saints. Let's see him practice this week. Let's see him get healthy, and then we'll be ready to roll and make a run. That's just my opinion. I feel would be the best thing to do is not play those two.
Pops texting, watch out, Panthers. Our boys are getting healthy, and we coming for you. Be ready. We still have 2 big matchups left with Carolina. We'll get into Christian Ruiz, great friend of the program's comments. Thanks for tuning in first and foremost. He goes, are we worried about Igbuka slowing down, or is the incoming healthy depth going to take some of the burden off his shoulders? So a couple things there. No lie, he has slowed down production-wise, stat-wise. That's not a lie. But 2 things. A, yes, think about it. He's taken on a wide receiver 1 role, which he is still at his moments at. He's still at good times at. But as a rookie, you're surely going to struggle. And B, he has a little bit of the Mike Evans or Chris Godwin at times in him, where he drops the easy ones and catches the really hard ones. And surely a rookie is going to shore that up over time too, and that's why I think he'll get a lot better next year as well. I think he limits some of those drops. So 2 things are hindering him a little bit. The defenses are able to just focus on him right now, but you've seen Godwin play really good last week, so they're going to have to start shadowing Godwin a little bit. Oh man, Mike Evans comes back, McMillan comes back. Next thing you know, you get Igbuka and one-on-ones again, like he was against the Jets. Going to make a world of a difference in Zach. B, even if he catches, like that first down was really big. That was his only drop. But even if he limits the drops to one every other game, that'll surely help his stat line. That would have been a catch for 20, 30 yards. He had nobody around him, and that would have been an easy first down as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a huge difference in facing cornerback 1 and cornerback 2 or 3. So as these guys come back, his production will probably pick back up because he thrived when Mike was in the lineup, getting that double coverage and that safety help over the top, and he was more one-on-one. So I think we'll see his production kick up. I'm not too overly concerned about his drops yet. He hasn't had an NFL offseason to work out, to prepare and get, you hear those legends of Jerry Rice and what he used to go through in the offseason, and then other receivers started going with him and working out. So when you get that, it's different when you're playing college ball and you come in for your rookie year. I think you really see a lot of growth in a receiver from their rookie year to their second year because they have that whole offseason program to kind of get them ready for the upcoming season. They know what it takes to be a pro now. So I think next year for Ibuka is going to be a big year.
And year number 2 is often when you see big leaps in a lot of players. And Ibuka's having a great year already, but as Zach alluded to, as I said, year 2 will be big. He will limit those drops. Even if you limit him to one every 2 or 3 games, it's still unfortunate, but that's a big difference. And of course, a guy like Evans, even them just being banged up, they're still around the team, but they can't really be as hands-on with you when they're on the field, right? And a couple of those first weeks, you had at least Evans or Godwin. Hey, what should I do here? What should I do here? And they're more mentally in the game then too, right? You could lean on them a little more. Not saying they're not in the game when they're injured. They kind of serve as assistant coaches, but surely they see the game a little differently. They're not in the game bringing that intensity. So it's multitude of factors here on the Buccateers. If you are watching, hit that like button, subscribe button, turn that notification bell on the YouTube. We appreciate it. Help grow the show with some super chats like our great friend B-Shuck did earlier. Never expected, always appreciated, and great membership opportunities are available now for the holiday season for pretty cheap. And we will have new holiday merch, t-shirts, Christmas time coming up. A lot of fun here on the Buccateers, giveaways wise, merchandise wise, just going to be a pleasure. Richard says, hey, Tampa Bay, not worried about Ibuka, year 1 of 12. Exactly. And he's having a great year, just a learning curve. And that's right, Joey. Bucs win next 3 in division is theirs. They would clinch. Greg Allman said, friend of the program. Zach, how refreshing would that be if the Bucs are able to take care of business against the Saints, Falcons, and Panthers? A, not do we beat our most 3 hated teams in a row, but B, we'd clinch the division with a couple weeks left in the football season while the Bears, Packers, and Lions beat up on each other, while the 49ers, Rams, and Seahawks beat up on each other, while the Eagles, while the Commanders, even though they're not as great as they look, but they're still playing tough, and the Cowboys beat up on each other. The Bucs could then maybe lay back last couple weeks and not take their foot off the gas, but play, a little bit more strategic football. Hey, is a 3 seed in reach? Is a 2 seed in reach? Are we locked in at the 4 seed? That would be very refreshing, Zach, if the Bucs could win 3 in a row.
Yeah, it would be, and it would be such a difference from the last 3 years where it's coming down to the last game, and we can't take a breath because we're so into it to make sure that we clinch the division and get into the playoffs. So if they can win the next 3, it'll be refreshing to kind of have stress-free football for 2 weeks before the playoffs start.
That would be unprecedented times as a Tampa fan the last handful of years, the stress-free football leading into the playoffs. But let's not expect the NFC South to make this easy or the Bucs to make this easy, J-Lo. As the Panthers, as we say it here every single pod, the most consistently inconsistent team in the NFL, right? 1 week they're losing at home to the Saints. 1 week they're beating the Packers on the road. 1 week they get whitewashed by Miami Dolphins. 1 week they're beating the Rams. So, J-Lo, just as much as everybody wants to crown the Panthers, anoint the Panthers, and I'm not going to lie, impressive win, impressive couple of wins this year. A lot of us expected this. We expected a second-place finish with them. B, right when they beat somebody like the Rams, it wouldn't shock me if they turn around. They have a bye week this week. but lose in the near future to a team again like the Saints. And C, it's recency bias. You know, the Bucs beat teams that the Panthers didn't beat, right? The Panthers didn't beat some of the teams that the Bucs beat this year. And it all, like the Cardinals beat the Panthers, right? So, J-Lo, I think it just goes to show how multitude of factors have people thinking the Panthers might be a little bit closer to the division title than they are.
I mean, it's no lie. The Panthers are very competitive, for one thing. Their team.
Shout out to Dave Canales. That was a great hire.
Mhm.
Oh, I mean, yeah, shout out to Dave Canales. You know, we all kind of knew what he was going to bring to the table to Carolina. We used to know how much patience that owner was going to have, but it looks like it's paying off with Canales the way he's coaching. So shout out to him and Carolina. But for the most part, like you said, you know, they're just consistently inconsistent. They're not going to play well certain weeks, and I feel that gives us the advantage knowing how they play and going against Dave Canales' offense. We know what his play calling is. Even though last year was a scare, but this year, you know, could be a lot different. I know it's definitely going to be a competitive game in Carolina. No matter what record we have going in, we should be win the next two when we get to Carolina. But to me, I feel Carolina could be a team that could sneak a win. I think we'll split with them, but hopefully it'll be the last game of the year we lose, then going to Carolina to clinch the division.
Man, and that would be epic. And B-Shuck, once again, another super chat. Just incredible. We appreciate you greatly. We never take you for granted, and it's awesome to have you here. Already can't take a breath, never getting off blood pressure meds as long as I'm a fan of this team. A, you're 100% right on that. And B, Christian, we'll get back to B-Shucks. Can't wait for Bucs versus Panthers. Yes, we will be there week 18, and that could be a meaningful game. Maybe the division, maybe other stuff, but that's going to be rowdy. Carolina is good at home. They are, but they also beat the Packers on the road, so they proved that they could win games on the road. But Zach, on top of needing blood pressure meds for being a Bucs fan, apparently Panthers fans do as well, but another bullshit NFL rule, we didn't get a comp pick for Dave Canales, only because he was here for a season.
Mhm.
If you're going to hand out comp picks, to me, it makes no difference if they're here for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, or 1 year. And B, even if that is a rule, Zach, maybe make it, okay, if you're here this amount of years, you get this round pick. If you're here for 1 year, you get this round pick. Maybe not as great of a pick, but you should still be rewarded for grooming a head coach if that's how you're going to play the game.
Yeah, it's almost like you're penalized because they were successful in 1 year as opposed to being successful in 2 years, right? But that's just another one of those weird idiosyncrasies that the NFL has about comp picks. I mean, it's how can you pick up a guy that has 1 year left on his contract and he goes to another team and you get a comp pick for that, but for the coach, it's 2 years. Like it doesn't really make sense to me. A lot of the stuff the NFL does doesn't make sense.
It's becoming more evident that all these things don't really make sense at multiple levels of football. I've been seeing things happening in college. I mean, the college is wild, wild west now, and the NFL now this year that I've never seen before. They were talking about it the other day where you could review some type of penalty now, and I feel like it's barely been done this year, but I guess you could review it and you could overturn it. They had Gene Steratore in the booth, and I'm like, what the hell? I've never heard of that rule before. It was a sideline hit out of bounds. Somebody hit somebody laid out of bounds, and all of a sudden they threw the penalty. They already announced it, and Gene Steratore's like, well, you could review this now. I'm like, I don't even understand basic rules of the game that I love anymore. Like, you could review that as refs, and we never see it happen. Same thing with the first down ball technology. They implement that, and they never use it. I mean, this league is just ass backwards, but not as backwards as the Buccateers schedule. We will be live here tonight on a Tune Me Up Tuesday, obviously, and then Toe in the Line will be released on Thursday. Get ready for your big weekend of NFL action with Toe in the Line on Thursday. Campus kickoff coming your way, returning this week as well for Conference Championship week. Big week of college games, Saturday showdown. We will be back here kicking off a great weekend of football, and then Man Cave Monday's return Monday as well. So we got a lot of fun here lined up on the Buccateers. Zach, J-Lo, myself, Joey Nips, the rest of the crew. It's going to be a great, great holiday season. Pops text in for those of us who really know our division and our preseason picks. We had the Panthers second and Atlanta third. And yes, that's one of those things where I believe at least some of us here had the Panthers finishing in second. But nonetheless, although the Saints are down and out this year, Zach, this is a team who's playing a little bit better with Tyler Shuck. They won a game with Tyler Shuck against the Panthers. They almost beat a hot Dolphins team last week with him. So although they're bad this year, they're not great this year. This is a team that the Bucs cannot overlook this Sunday, Zach, especially with the new quarterback, Tyler Shuck. He hears those whispers of, hey, who might be the first-round pick next year? Maybe the Saints have it. Maybe they go quarterback. You know Tyler Shuck's going to want to ball out as much as he can the remainder of the season.
Yeah, it's a division game. The Saints always play us tough, regardless of what the record is. I'm not going to feel good about this game until the clock hits 0 and we have more points than them. Because you just never know, man. On paper, we should dominate, but that's not where the game is played. There's, as much as they don't want to admit it, there's a rivalry here. These two teams do not like each other. So they're going to do everything in their power to win this game. And how much would the Saints love to put an L on us in a situation where it's going to be hugely impactful down this stretch?
I couldn't agree more. And even though last time the score looks lopsided, and it was at day's end, double-digit victory, Bucs covered the spread, right? Saints bench Spencer Rattler that game. Let's be honest. That game could have been way more lopsided, but the Saints held us in check at the goal line, and referees tried to screw us that game too. Who's to say refs won't have a couple bad calls this game? I know Bucs have more weapons back, but remember 9 plays from the goal line last time before we scored. So it's just going to be one of those things where we can't overlook these guys. We can't overlook them coming into town. J-Lo, you know they're going to be hungry. And yeah, B-Shuck and Zach said it right. How is it different than any other game? It's not. You got to look at these guys as they're the Patriots, as they're the Eagles, as they're the Bears coming into town. And whether you win 3-2 or 28-1, impossible score. But whatever the score might be, you just got to get the job done, J-Lo, against these guys. Come 1 o'clock Eastern this Sunday on CBS. Kevin Harlan. Yes, Kevin Harlan and Trent Green on the call.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Saints have always been a thorn in our behinds. And especially when they come down here to Tampa, it's always been a very, close, competitive game for the most part. We almost got screwed last year for the most part. And the year before, they blew us out. But I don't see that happening this year. But I definitely wouldn't be shocked if this game's competitive all the way to third quarter and the Bucs pull away with the victory. That's the way I see it. You can't take a guy like Tyler Shuck for granted. He could be a guy who come out of nowhere and pick you apart. I mean, they let Brissett just throw all over us for 2 or 3 drives in a row to where any quarterback can pick us apart. So hopefully Bowles has got a game plan for the rookie, blitz the hell out of him. I feel if you do that, you take him out of the game, boom, done deal. And then on defense, when it comes to our offense against their defense, just give the ball to Bucky. And that's another we forgot to mention. Having Bucky back was very huge. You run the ball well, take less pressure off Baker and his shoulder because, even though he took care of business and stayed on the field, but you never know. One big hit, boom, he's on the injured board. So for me, I got to say run the ball on him and then just play, good defense, even though our zone is crap. But to me, you got to get to the quarterback. You got to pressure him.
And you saw the difference Hassan Reddick made this past week with the pressures early on. At least we brought a couple more blitzes that got to the quarterback a little bit better, which was good stuff to see. But you have to remember, too, Rams put out a blueprint to try and attack Zion. To be quite honest, Richard, he had a terrible game against the Rams, but I don't think he's played that great this year. So he played good the first couple of weeks and then kind of fell off. In my opinion, remember, he got paid, Luke Gadecki got paid, and Gadecki's holding his own, don't get me wrong. So not a knock on him, but Zion hasn't been great. And I will say this game's even bigger, Zach, because we're still 1 up in the loss column on the Panthers right now. They have a bye week this week. It's very important to not be record-wise tied with them. We'd be a full game ahead of him instead of a half game and a full game up in the loss column. That's key, Zach, with 2 games left against these guys. God forbid you stub your toe in one of them, not saying you'd like to, but if you lose this week, really hard to rebound. If you win this week, at least it's, dang it, we stubbed our toe, but we could still maybe win the division because Panthers have a very tough schedule, no easy wins left on their docket.
Yeah, and that's, we had a little bit of back and forth on our group text this week after the game. I've had a little bit of time to think about it, and I've come off the ledge a bit, but I'm still concerned. And the reason that I'm concerned is Baker said it himself, and they talked about it during the broadcast, that we got to treat all these games like they're playoff games. Like, these are must-win scenarios. We have to win, and we still see the same kind of shit that we've seen all season at lapses on both sides of the ball with offense and defense. We went up 17-3 in that game, and the next defensive series, Vita and Roberts and Reddick and Yaya are on the bench. And we've got the B team out there, and no pressure. We're dropping Nelly back into the flats, and Arizona goes right down the field and scores a touchdown. Like, that's the time for that killer instinct that Bowles talked all offseason about. That's the time that you put your foot on their throat. You ramp up the pressure. You either get a 3-and-out or a turnover. You go score again, and you put them away instead of letting them hang around. Because when you're playing the good teams and you let them hang around, they will find a way to win the game.
Like Buffalo.
Yeah, exactly. We have to have a different mentality now. And he has to stop with that whole bullshit hockey line switch where he takes all the best front four. Our front four isn't great to begin with. It's serviceable and good at times, but you can't take all 4 of those guys off the field and put Braswell and Nelly and Gaines and Brewer out there. Like, that doesn't do anything, man. And then especially when you're dropping Nelly back in the flats and expecting this dude to cover a running back. Like, that's just a recipe for disaster. And we've got to stop that shit now, because if we don't get better at those scenarios when it matters in wild card weekend or, whatever playoff scenario it is, you think McVay's not going to take advantage of that, or Sirianni's not going to take advantage of that? They know in certain situations we got the front 4 are the B team, and they're just going to take advantage of it and maybe go no huddle, so we can't even get those guys back out on the field because you put them out there in the first place. So that's where my concerns are. Like, I'm kind of a little bit in a different place than I was after the game, but this is where I'm at now. Like, the Jets game, we had a 17-point lead, and we blew that lead because of his conservative style of defense, because of not having that killer instinct. We blew a 14-point lead in this game because, again, he's not putting these guys away. We got to have killer instinct. Have to.
And I do agree, and that's why I do parody to some. That's why I do think the defense was pretty damn good, because to me they were handcuffed a little bit by the rotations, by how they were subbed in, and some, like Nelly, made a huge play on 4th and 1. That was very clutch. A couple other of these cats made very good plays on top of the bad killer instinct. We just simply got to get better at tackling too. There's no way. James Conner's out. Trey Benson's out. DeMercado's out. They literally have practice squad running backs. Nothing against Bam Knight and Michael Carter. That's what they are. They're making 3 tacklers miss on a play. Parrish, who's had a great rookie. Yeah, Parrish, who's had a great rookie season on ice skate. Zion, big money man. I don't mind the Parrish one. At least he still got there and made contact with him. Still a bad miss, but that's why Zion and Dennis get there, right? And then both of them can't bring him down. And then another bad thing to me, and I love this guy, friend of the shows. We had him on the show before, great guy, but Brewer getting the call over Elijah Simmons just doesn't make sense to me. Hasn't paid off to me. And Zach, I know they keep saying matchup, because when you watch Larry Foote last week, they asked him about it. Hey, Brewer over Simmons. He said matchup. Todd Bowles said the same thing. Am I like crazy. Okay, I get you try it against the Rams, right? Maybe Brewer will bring a little bit more on the pass rush or something. It's been 2 weeks now and we haven't seen it. If we see Brewer over Simmons this week, I'm not going to be happy. And I love Brewer, friend of the show's, great guy. I like that he's on this team. Not saying don't put him on this team, but Simmons, to me, earned a spot on the roster, at least in the run game specifically.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It was perplexing to see that Simmons was inactive for this game. But going back to your point about the missed tackles, I'm pretty sure that drive ended in a touchdown, right? Mm-hmm. And those 3 tackles were missed on 3rd and 4, I believe.
Yep.
So if the first tackle is made, there's no gain. And now it's 4th and 4. They're probably kicking that ball away. So it's these little things in big moments. Like we were beat by the Patriots in 4 plays. 4, miscommunication or bad assignment or blown cover, whatever they were. But those 4 plays resulted in touchdowns, and that's how we lost that game to the Patriots. And let's not forget, Arizona missed a field goal. This game could have went to overtime. And I think if it would have gone to overtime, I don't know that I had the confidence in the defense to make a stop when it needed to. Todd Bowles had to chew those guys' ass out. I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you read that story and saw that, right? That's not, and even Levante came out and said he shouldn't have had to have done that. But up until that point, the defense looked like dog shit out there. They were just going through the motions, letting them, let's play to the clock 0. We got a lead. No, I'm glad that Todd chewed their ass out. But again, he shouldn't have to. These guys should be able to. It's playoff football. All these games are must win. You shouldn't need anybody to chew your ass out or get you hyped for it. It should just be, it's game time. Let's go.
Should be. And Todd Bowles, obviously a guy who a lot of people say behind closed doors, he is a little tempered but on screen, very mild mannered. But I don't know how any coach could not lose their shit after that. And he shouldn't need to. Servace Dennis, your starting middle linebacker in football. How do you miss that tackle? Zion McCollum, you are making top cornerback dollar now. How do you miss that play? Parrish, again, still bad. I'll give him a mini break because we had 2 more guys there. He at least slowed him down, but just trash. But this defense at least made big plays when it mattered, I will say. 4th down, Nelly makes a big play. Couple other times Bucs make big plays, but it's 1 or 2 plays that the Bucs could be making, J-Lo, that turns the score from 20-17 rather to 27-10, and the game looks a lot much better if the Bucs make that tackle on 3rd down specifically, as Zach said, leads to a touchdown, J-Lo.
I mean, it's frustrating. It's been frustrating on that missed tackle. And you look at Zion trying to throw the boom in there. Yeah, it's cute, but you need to wrap him up and take him down. That's just point blank. You like you said, Tones. You're making top dollar. Make the top dollar play. Wrap him up. That's it. Call it a day. And here's another thing I want to go back to Elijah Simmons. Did you realize how well Arizona ran the ball on us? Which never really happened. So I see a bigger difference not having Simmons in there to kind of help close that gap. That was another frustrating thing. Even with Vita Vea out there getting double teamed, put another big guy right next to him. That's why I didn't understand either when they decided to inactive Elijah Simmons. Corey Brewer, no disrespect, friend of the show, but obviously this game coming up, you're going to need a guy like Simmons in there because guess who's coming in town? Alvin Kamara, who knows how to find holes too. So to me, they need to be better on wrapping the tackle up, and I'm glad Bowles blew up in their ass because that's what we need to see sometimes to get these guys to play. Because at the time, fans want to go out to Todd Bowles saying he's very calm. No, deep down, we all know he's pissed as shit. You can tell when he's mad going into the locker room, he's ready to pop off. And finally, he went to the sideline and burned up in their ass, and that's what they needed. Like, half these guys are making top dollar, go out there and make the fucking play and get off the damn field.
Couldn't agree more, and maybe we need you to lay into them, J-Lo, as we're live here on the Buccateers podcast. One other mini encouraging thing I will say on the defense, couple notes. I'm glad Marvin Harrison Jr. ended up playing, helped test this defense a little bit more. And Michael Wilson, who had 25 catches for over 300 yards the past 2 weeks coming into this game combined, the Bucs held him to 3 for 36. And Jacoby Brissett had his lowest passing yard total in about a month as well, although he still threw for over 300 yards. there were little signs, Zach, that showed, okay, maybe this defense is making some improvements. But like you said, and Pops texted in too, rotations. Maybe if you don't rotate as much, and I get that's part of the game. And again, I don't mind it on a guy like Jamel Dean, right? But on guys whose motors are completely there, on guys who haven't showed signs of injury, keep him on the field. For the love of God, that's what they're paid to play for.
Absolutely. And I don't want to, give the offense a pass because they did their part of shitting on momentum a couple of times. We get the ball, but we get a stop. We're up 20 to 10. We get the ball back. There's like 5 minutes left. We should be able to go into a 5-minute offense in that game in victory formation. But instead, we managed to go 0 yards on first down, 0 yards on second down, and then 5 or 6 on third, and punt the ball back to them. And then they go right down the field, score a touchdown, and now it's 20-17. And there's a couple of times where we have we get the momentum back either after a turnover or a 3-and-out or a 4-and-out, and then we run the 2 most ridiculous plays in the playbook on first and second down, and now we're in 3rd and 12, 3rd and 10, and don't pick up the first, give the ball right back to them. So the offense isn't without its blame at times as well. The reason I tend to think more of it as a defense is because Balls is a defensive guy. Right, so you would think that the identity of your head coach would trickle into your offense a little, or your team a little bit more. But the offense isn't without blame as well. Penalties, timely penalties, man. Like, come on, Payne. How do you? All you got to do is just push that dude down. Like you're twice as big as that guy, and you just straight up tackle him and take a touchdown off the board. The Tez Johnson one, I still don't think was a penalty. Hell, I didn't think the Sterling Shepard one a couple of weeks ago was a penalty. It looked like Sterling had no clue that dude was there. He got rocked in that play. But those are going to happen. But we seem to shoot ourselves in the foot at the most inopportune times.
The most unopportune times, always seemingly, it just happens to the Buccaneers. And the touchdown, Godwin dropped 7 points. That would have been right there. Ibuka, if he catches that first down, who knows what this button, even if it's 3 points, that's a 10-point swing right there. So these are little things at the most unopportune times. And then, Zach, you said it in the group chat itself right when it happened. We're not going to drive this game out. We're not going to get that long drive, right? And sure enough, we didn't end up getting that long drive, kind of like how the Bears put the Eagles away. They were up 9 with about 4 or 5 minutes left. They just kept running the ball, boom, 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 put the Eagles on ice, just like the Bengals did. The Bucs couldn't. But a win is a win, and we're going to take the positive momentum and head into the Saints game a little bit healthier. And, Zach, one encouraging thing, we got a couple more topics here before we get to the final word. No new injuries came this week. Seemingly, it seems like every week has been, I remember at the beginning of the year, Gadecki down, Cody Mauch down, Bredesen a couple weeks back down, dropping like flies. This week, knock on wood, seemingly a little bit healthier than normal.
Yeah, and Bake ran a little bit, right? I was expecting him to not run at all with that injury, but he had the longest run of the day, so that was encouraging. It was good to see Bucky really picked up as the game went on. I think we'll see a bigger impact this week. It was also nice to see him throw the ball out to Rashad in the flats, and you saw what he did with it. He's still electric in space and can find the end zone. It was unfortunate that one was called back, but at least he's looking in the flats and picking them up out there. But yeah, it was very, very refreshing to not have any new injuries. Tyke went down at one point, and I was like, oh man, not Tyke. That's like the most consistent dude on defense. But he was able to come back, so it wasn't so bad.
I was holding my breath when Tyke went down as well. I'm like, come on, this year we cannot afford to lose him as well. And luckily he was back in a couple plays later. But J-Lo, we've seen a couple of these guys become available now. Kaiser White, and Adam Thielen, and Darius Slay, a couple other veterans getting released. J-Lo, quick thoughts. Are there any veterans off the top of your head that, like the Steelers brought him Adam Thielen today, you want the Bucs to maybe kick the tires on anybody out there that would be available?
I mean, I'll take Kaiser, bring him here. bring some speed, some experience. Even if he's not the starter, you can create a spark and also put a fire under Dennis's ass that he needs to play better. Or not, you're going to get replaced. I mean, let's just face it. I mean, to me, you gotta bring in some spark. I'm not expecting Kadir White to come in here and create miracles, but I think he'll go out there and play a little bit better and make the tackles better than Sebastian Dennis at this point. That's just me. I'm not saying Dennis is the worst player in the world, but let's face facts that he's having a really, really rough year, a year we did not expect to happen. So Kadir White would probably be the one that catch my interest, but knowing lie, he'll probably just stay put and just think what we got is what it is. But you never know. Hopefully, he'll look at it and be like, okay, maybe we should bring some more depth in there. Yes, bring more depth, please. Effing yes. Because we need some flash plays. We on defense, like Zach mentioned, we got to quit relying on the defense so much because that's going to cost us football games. And when you got a 10-point lead, you got to keep it. Keep the pedal to the metal, blow them out. I mean, look what the Rams did. They showed us mercy in the second half. They felt that.
I know Zach would like Kadir White as he was a West Virginia guy. Zach, would he be at the top of your list as well? I mean, again, some veterans available. If it doesn't hurt, if it doesn't cost a lot, do you go out and kick the tires on a guy like Kadir White?
Absolutely, because he is a sure tackler. He's a tackling machine. I think he had like 109, 110 tackles last year for the Texans, I think. Texans or Falcons, one of those. I can't remember. Cardinals, yeah. I knew, I got it half right with a bird. So he's a tackling machine, man. He really is. He has a nose for it. He'd definitely be the guy out of those three. Pittsburgh's secondary is god-awful, so if Pittsburgh thinks you're bad enough to cut, you don't want anything to do with that guy. So I wouldn't take a look at Slay. Honestly, I hope Morrison gets back and they start the rotation with him and Zion. I think that's where and maybe that'll help Zion pick up his play because I think it helped Dean a little bit, getting that rotation and kind of seeing, they're on to me kind of a thing. So I think we'll see a benefit of rotating Zion and Morrison. I don't think we need help there, but I'd definitely like to pick up a linebacker, and Zaire White is he's good. He's a good tackler, which is something that we're not good at right now.
And look at, although I hate him, a lot of Bucs fans do, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Look, he went to the Bears, and look at that defense make a pivot. Sometimes it just takes bringing in a veteran into the locker room, J-Lo, and maybe if they did, it would help fend off the Panthers, who, I mean, it's pretty much a two-team race in the South at this point. Panthers still have Bucs twice, Seattle, and at New Orleans. I think Bucs, as long as they should add some veteran depth, get a little healthier, and play Buck ball, I think they should win this division by at least 2 games, I would think.
I'm very confident that the Bucs are taking a right turn and trying to win football games on the most part. I think they can pull out the next 3 games, clinch the division, and kind of like not play a lot of starters in the next 2 weeks. But you never know with this team. But I'm confident they can pull this 3-game win streak to where it's going to take a lot less pressure off the players as much, knowing that, okay, we took care of business, depending what seeding we're going to be. To me, number 1 seed is probably out of the question at this point, but maybe 3 or 4, that's where it's lining up to be. So to me, I feel they can pull out the next 3 games. And Carolina, yeah, we'll see, because last year they should have beat us. We should have lost to Carolina last year, but you know what happened? A veteran stepped up and forced a fumble in Nelson, and we won the game. So that's all it takes, like you just said, bring in some vet depth to kind of push these other players to play better to win football games.
And on top of that, B-Shuck mentions another one, Laken Tomlinson. Well, he got benched this year for Houston, and then they won 4 games in a row. So he might be worth bringing in as a depth body or a player, but B-Shuck, if that answers on his play at all, the Texans are one of the hottest teams in the league since his benching. And that's nothing against him. He's been a good, veteran presence, but sometimes your course just runs dry. And seems like a bunch of veterans are getting released. Badgley got released today by the Colts as well. Group got released by the Saints. Just a veteran carousel is here, Zach. But what say you? Bucs schedule, Panthers schedule. It's a big difference. B-Shuck, another super chat. Just the man. That's all I could say to that. But final thoughts on the battle of the NFC South, seemingly between two teams at this point?
Yeah, just real quick, I was surprised to see that Koo didn't get released after that shit last night. I've never seen. I looked at Becky last night and I was like, I watched football for like 35 years. I have never seen that. So I guess I appreciate. Yeah, yeah, right. I think his mental is off because that's all muscle memory, man. And he just like 2 yards in front of the ball just drove his foot as hard as he could into the turf, man. It was something else. No, it's like Carolina and ourselves have the opposite side of the same coin. We ran the gauntlet at the beginning of the year, and they have to run it at the end of the year. So, they've had some successes where we had failure, and we've had success where they had failure. So the duality of it is pretty interesting. Like when I saw the schedule at the beginning of the year, I didn't really think that it was going to come down this way. But I guess that's why I don't work for NFL scheduling. They seem to have a knack for knowing how to put these things together so that it makes for the most exciting games. The only thing I am hoping is that they do not flex that game to Sunday night because we have a curse on Sunday nights. So it would be in our benefit to play that game at 1:00.
On top of the curse, too, I might be in the minority, but I'm not a big Sunday night football guy, only because by that point in time, if I have to work Monday, it's like, oh, man, the weekend's winding down, and now I got to stay up and work the following day. On top of that, it's like I'd just rather rip the Band-Aid, like Monday, at least it's the only game that day. So your team's the luster, and that's it. Thursday, same thing. Sunday, though, it's like, oh, man, all of a sudden it's like, And just remember that all teams go through a rut for the most part at some point in the season. Remember, the Bears' rut was in the beginning of the year. The only time you want to end the rut is not at the end of the year, right? You don't want what the Eagles did a couple of years ago, maybe doing this year, where you tailspin. But let's look at all the best teams in the league this year, right? Well, not the best, but just look at over 500 teams. Cowboys 2-5-1 at one point had their rut. Now they're 6-5-1. Colts have just dropped 2 in a row. The Bears started 1-3. There's been a multitude of teams that have had ruts, different points through the years. The Eagles now, and then they overcome, and eventually the good teams do. We'll see if the Bucs do. It seems like they took a step in the right direction with the win against Arizona, and we'll see if they continue to kind of get out of that. J-Lo, last thoughts on that? B-Shuck says disregard Lakin, had no idea. Real Bucks Talk is saying, hi friends, offense is close. I think it will get better as health continues to improve. We agree. Michael Plus, we've been saying the same sentiment here. B-Shuck, that was the best shit ever. J-Lo, what say you? Plus say 27-13. Last thoughts on Bucs Saints matchup?
No, I mean for the most part, I just feel if you can't be a bad football team, the Saints at home, and you can't be a depleted Atlanta team at home, then you don't deserve a playoff spot. That's just the way I feel. Honestly, I know it's a little harsh to say that. I know it's any given Sunday, but as bad as the Saints are, and you can't pull out a win at home, then you don't deserve a playoff spot. That's just my opinion. I know we're gonna slip one game sooner or later. But if it's the Saints, it's going to be very disappointing. There should be no reason why this team, with all the experience, all the talent, all the money they invest in these players, cannot go out there and get a win at home in front of your fans.
Zach, what say you? Final words, thoughts, Bucs Saints match, a big one this week?
Yeah, my PTSD kicks in these moments. Last year, we could have wrapped up the division by beating the Saints at home, and we came out, shit the bed. I drove down for that game because we were supposed to beat them and wrap up the division. And then I don't think we scored a touchdown that game. Did we score a touchdown that game?
No, that was 2 years ago though you're talking about.
Okay. So we should beat this team, as J-Lo said. These next two games should be winnable. Cousins scares me because of last year. But I'm hoping the defense has that circled as a boot to ass type game pay him back for last year, but we should win both of these games. I will take a 27-13 game plus, and I will feel good about it. So hopefully you are correct.
I would take 27-13, feel good about it, and we will have our score predictions coming on Saturday or Saturday Showdown Weekend of Football Kickoff Show, 10:30 a.m. Eastern every Saturday. J-Lo, final word for the program, brother, on the Buccateers as we get into the holiday season. A lot of fun holiday giveaways to be had here, my friend.
No, absolutely. Shout out to B-Shuck. You're the man. Thank you for your
B-Shuck.
contribution. Every single show you bring it to the show. We appreciate that. Thank you for all the listeners and all the commenters also that tuned in. Tuned to the campus kickoff. Lots of breakdown with this championship game. Some of these new coach hiring carousel. Looking forward to going through that this week for y'all. I'll be back till then. Hey, fun shitting up with you guys.
Bucs by 30, the great Zach Johnson. Final words for the program, brother.
Yeah, appreciate you fellas in the chat. The chat was lit today. It's always good having the interaction with the fans in the chat. So appreciate that. Appreciate how you guys bring it. Congrats, Richard. 510, man. I wish I was brave enough to gamble. I'm just not there. But yeah, it was good to get back on the winning ways of things, and hopefully we have another Victory Monday next week to talk about.
No, Zach's a smart one. He's smart one. He gambling, but look at Richard, $510 right there. So there you go.
Yeah,
510 is really good money right there. So maybe we could use that and help pick up one of these free agents here for the Bucs. Let's do it.
love it.
Hoping Gators get Halsey for OC. Quick thoughts on that, J-Lo? We do have a couple more college coaches getting hired in the past hour, it seems like, which is pretty crazy. Seems like every couple hours we're getting one. Neil Brown, former West Virginia coach, going to North Texas. Kel is hiring Tosh Lupoy. But quick thoughts on the Gators OC, J-Lo, 10 seconds or less.
No, Hazel would be a good one. I just hope they bring a just experienced one that knows what they're doing, getting this offense. There's so much talent. I wouldn't mind him for the most part. Or even Jake Peets from, I believe he's in Seattle, QB coach. He's another experienced, good future play caller on the Sean McVay tree. So that's somebody I wouldn't mind bringing to Florida as well.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens. All I'll say is this. Keep an eye on the USF head coaching job. Keep an eye on it. Indeed. Heard a couple of intriguing names, not going to share them, but that job could get very interesting. Let me tell you, it could be a good move, and it could be a local move too. That's all I will say on that. J-Lo, Tampa Tones, this is Bucs by 30, and for you to say, oh, spill the beans, don't do it. I barely break news. Even when I get stuff to share, I do it in my group chats usually. I don't like to be that out of the woods with it, because God forbid if it does not come true, or even if it does come true, people will find a way. Oh, you said this, you did that. So when I hear something from my sources, I kind of like to keep it on the DL. But just know USF has two good candidates in their back pocket, maybe. We'll put it like that. That's what we'll say. I'll take a 3-2 win. Yeah, B-Shuck me. I'll take a 2-0 win. I'll one-up you right there, right? And then Mike, our favorite Canadian. Wow, it's been forever. Sorry, we're about to log off. But the great news is you can watch a replay on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and Google, and so much more. Catch Zach, J-Lo, Tampa Tones, Joey Nips, A-Cats, Bucko, and the rest of the gang here weekly multiple times on the Buccateers. We will be back with the campus kickoff and towing the line on Thursday, and our Saturday Showdown show on Saturday, and our Man Cave Monday on Monday. Bucs by 30. J-Lo, you guys stay safe out there in this winter weather, brothers. Stay blessed. We'll see you guys soon.
Appreciate you.
Bro, we'll put it like that.
Nice.
What's it like? I was actually there in attendance in Cleveland for Coe's first career NFL touchdown, which was awesome. And,
Awesome.
It was a great game. You could hear me on camera. I was just screaming, say it ain't so, Coe. Say it ain't so. Sadly, from there, the game kind of went off the rails a little. That was the last high moment of that game. But it was a great game. Overtime loss, fun time. But how was that moment for you? Seeing the first, whether it was on TV, in person, wherever you were, seeing his first NFL touchdown. How was that?
Well, you know, dude, I mean, we were at home because it was a away game. We don't travel to a lot of the away games because we can get into that later. But, you know, to watch that and to think I wished I was there live. So to have your video was so cool. And just that, hey, this is so cool. I mean, that was so cool for us. Yeah, catching it from Tom Brady, right? Like he's got the ball yet. I mean, first NFL touchdown means a lot, right? I mean, as a dad, this is so cool to see. And it's just, it was fun to watch. And yeah, it didn't have the outcome we wanted, but still the same. What a memory. What a memory to have, right? So,
and honestly,
cool.
those one of the best guests ever, the Buccateers in the house tonight. You guys hear him on Tampa radio all the time. He's one of the best in the business. My favorite personal in the business. That's why I'm elated tonight. You know, growing up in the Chicago area, you're used to sports radio. That's what gets me through the day. So this man does help get me through the day, I will say, with the Pat and Aaron show at work. Nothing like it. So it's incredible. It looks like we got Stunna bumbling in. I'm Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little cleared. But we're joined by Pat
It looks like
Donovan.
Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like you got a little.
No, my camera's broke.
And he was trying to pull me in big time. And then I was like, hey, you know, nothing's happened with Indianapolis yet. Like, I really want to give Indy a chance. And then also I talked to Cody Gruden, you know, once he took over Rich McCann, still like, well, look, I was like, y'all just give me the opportunity to explore free agency, see what's going on, and then can I make it do it.
All right, everyone, you are tuned into the Buccateers, a wide receiver, Kalen Geiger, and we are about to have a great pod. This is the Buccateers. You're tapped in, and here we go.